Tonight, we explore the life and career of one of England, nay Derby's, greatest living actors, Will Jessup. William George Garrick Olivier Thorndike Chlamydia Jessup arrived on the 26th of January 1970, much to the surprise of his mother, who was expecting 4 rolls of lino. He was born in Australia, in the family home on Ramsay Street, in the meteorological enclave of Toowoomba, nestled between the villages of Zumba, Pumba and Chumbawamba. Here, his brother Chris reflects on those early days.
He was a rather strange child. He had tendencies. While other boys were out playing, Will sat in his room reading Proust and Bertrand Russell and Macbeth. Not the Macbeth, George Macbeth, a bloke my dad was at school with. I think Will was profoundly affected by the brutal Australian upbringing my mother gave him. Endless Barbies, tinnies, cricket on the beach. The warning signs began to appear during his school days when he would giggle uncontrollably at the slightest provocation.
David, drink water. Let me see your sentences. My brother be a soldier. He march through the street. Do smash the plates. Not only that, David, but what about in maths earlier? This boy has done 2 sums. Right. That's it, Jessup. You're expelled.
Having been expelled from the Miss Whiplash Academy for naughty boys, Will left home and sought his fortune on the stage. His first paid job was on Grange Hill, where he showed his versatility. After that, he dabbled in musical theatre, where he was very excited to find himself in the middle of a gaggle of screaming girls. The strategically placed hat covers just how excited he was. Next, he went into rep, dipping his toe into Shakespeare, who didn't seem to mind. Here he is as the Of in The Taming of the Shrew. It was while he was here that he also gave his bottom opposite Denise Van Outen's snout. He also had a very brief stint as the Milky Bar Kid, but lost the job when he announced that he would only be able to appear sporadically, unwilling as he was to eat chocolate more than 4 times a year. He went to drama school at DADA, the Derby Academy of Dramatic Arts, where he met his future roommate and lover, Carl McGarrigle.
All of my memories are of hedonistic parties. They were crazy times. We were crazy kids doing crazy things. I remember that one time, the party at Belgian Jill's house, where we smothered ourselves in rich chocolate, dressed up as Hercule Poirot, and investigated Jill's Brussels. Then there was the pool party, where the entire De Montgomery set turned up. There was Biffo and Badger, and there was Bunty, and Boxer, and Burm Fluff. Yeah. And then there was the infamous Champagne Garden party, which more or less turned into a bacchanalian orgy. Sadly, Will wasn't at any of these.
Will decided to branch out into the world of music. After unsuccessfully beginning his career by playing third trombone on the Rockford Files, he decided to start his own band, the Congreves, seen here. They modelled themselves on the characters of Restoration comedy. The Congreves made a fleeting appearance on Top of the Pops 2 and Sounds of the 70s, which Will still has on tape. Sadly, they split when the lead singer, Mr. Pinchwife, found the bassist, Mr. Longknob, in bed with the saxophonist, Miss Spreadham, and an altercation involving an orange, a wash basin, and an oversized aubergine kicked off, leaving everyone but Will with dropsy and VD. Here's renowned singer Simon Partridge with his thoughts on the Congreves and their legacy.
The thing about the Congreves is that whatever they lacked in musical ability, God knows that really was quite a lot, they more than made up for with their dancing. Who can forget Will's signature move, the paw? I think unless you were there at the time, it's hard to imagine the sensation that it caused in Will's bedroom. Anyway, then the Congreves split, of course. Will tried to go it alone, using the name Shaheem Plus 3, but I don't think the world was quite ready for Will's backward drumming or his insistence on using the word Tisbap in every song. Come to think of it, I don't think the world is ever going to be ready for that. Since then, of course, he's confined himself to a career of half-learning songs from the Smiths, the Beggars' Opera and the Muppets.
After his foray into the world of music came to an ignominious end, a turning point came for Will. No, not his world-famous workshop with Fiona Shaw, where he was forced to say, "I love you," or "I want to go to bed with you," in a thin range of emotions. Not his discovery of the shop around the corner that sold Scotch eggs. It was, in fact, when he met three plucky young scamps, as they were then, God knows they've deteriorated, who collectively formed Big Adventures Theatre Company.
The thing about working with Will is that he was, and is, and was, a very generous performer. Always giving. He was giving. Sometimes he'd give me a grape from a huge punnet he'd brought with him. Sometimes a chocolate raisin or two. More raisins, he'd say. Such fun. Sometimes even a little cherry tang fastic. May God forgive me. But there were times if you didn't take what he was trying to give, he would get quite upset. And he'd react a little like this. But that was Will. Always giving, never taking. Not once taking. Never took direction, props, notes, advice. But that's the kind of performer he is and was and is. Generous.
I think the thing that I remember most about working with Will was, well, aside obviously from his infamous 1950s bus driver quiff, his unbelievable ability to ad-lib. You know, I remember distinctly once being at the Derby Heritage Centre, I don't know if you remember that, Jacket Potato, My Fat Son. We were doing a murder mystery for a man's 80th birthday, and Will somehow, as sometimes happens, accidentally inverted one of the lines. Got himself involved in a heady mixture of syntax and grammar and pedantry and couldn't get himself out of it. And to be honest, the ad-lib went on for so long that by the time he finished, all the audience were asleep. David tried to hang himself, and the poor bloke who was 80 was now 90. A similar thing happened, actually, when we were doing a small tour of prisons in the north. Wakefield Prison, I remember in particular. You know, there were lifers, serial killers in there who were taking bets on who would finish their sentence first.
Hello. Oh, hang on. Sorry. This not a toilet, is it? No. Good. Good. Yep. Good. Well, I mean, Will is a character actor, isn't he? At heart. He's so versatile. He can do almost anything. It makes me so mad sometimes that I want to send a friend request to Sarah Malloy just to annoy him. He's very versatile. I remember, well, we played a game once with Will where he would impersonate two animals that you named, and he'd sort of blend them together into this beautiful physical performance. There was his snake dog, his salamander wombat, and I honestly don't think I'll ever recover from his ass shag. Of course, they didn't all have to be real animals. He could take fantasy creatures and blend those with animals. I mean, who could ever forget his cock goblin? But birds were his speciality, weren't they? Eagle or owl. I mean, that's got to be one of the greatest games ever invented, right? Am I right? Yeah. And the way that Will can convey the nobility of the eagle just by sort of puffing his chest out and pulling a slightly sillier face. I just honestly don't think anyone will ever be able to do it better. I mean, mainly because no one else will ever bother to do it. While working with, and alongside Big Adventures, Will met someone who was to change his life as profoundly as one could reasonably hope, given his limitations.
Ah, the TV Johnnies. Ah, yes. About my good friend Will. Now, I first met Will when he was Big Adventures Theatre Company held an election for a new actor. Will only got one vote, but I believed in him. The two of us became great friends. Will would often come around here. We'd watch YouTube videos, he'd have a drink. We'd watch rock and roll stars from the 1950s. The Settlers singing the theme to Follyfoot from the 1960s. Oh, and that other genre, the slap and tickle film from the 70s. Ho ho, the lightning tree indeed. When I first started working with Will, of course, he was working on some rhymey-dimey nonsense by a chap called Shakespeare. Never heard of him. Apparently very overrated. But then the two of us both got work with Big Adventures Theatre Company doing murder mysteries on steam trains. It was all very wonderful. Of course, the platform was freezing. We all got changed in the dark. And, the engine driver was a complete psychopath. Not to mention the audience, often shouting out words like, Euros, j'accuse, and the other one, Sidesplode. Of course, Will was a great actor, who soon had a great range. Not as great as mine, but very good all the same.
And now, this very year, 2020, the man himself, the grande dame, the doyenne of the British, nay, the international stage, turns 50. And here are some of the crazy cats who have travelled alongside him on that great theatrical journey, who'd all like to wish him well and share some fond memories of working with this extraordinary man.
Ah, dear William George Jessup. Willie. Will. Good old WGJ. He can be described as many things. Intellectual, a polymath, a raconteur, a dirty bastard, all those things. There are many, many anecdotes that I could say, but just too many to mention.
My strongest memories from then was just what an incredible actor he was. He still is. He was head and shoulders above just about everybody else in our year. And I'm amazed that he's not a world-famous character actor, because I do think he's that good.
My favourite memory of Will was when we were doing Who Done It, and it was during Will's big song, and we were all gathered round him, and he started to mime decapitating and crushing a small bird and started to eat its flesh, and we were all stood round him trying to carry on with the show, trying to keep character, trying not to, you know, burst out laughing, whilst he's there eating away at the flesh of this dead bird in his hands.
William Jessup. Yes, I know that man. Strange sense of humour. Strange fellow. But one of the most nicest men you'll ever meet. I first met Mr. Jessup back in a murder mystery quite a few years ago now, and we even worked together as Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson in Sherlock Holmes and The Hound of the Baskervilles. Lovely man, lovely man. In fact, during one, or should I say at the end of one murder mystery, Will offered me to stay at his home because we'd missed the time to get back into Nottingham. And would you believe it, that lovely fellow put me up for the night and helped me find my way back into Derby Town. So Will, I will say thank you for that wonderful endeavour. It's always stayed with me. Such a kind-hearted individual that you are.
And I was just remembering our time we spent together on all of our expeditions, all of those terrible things we got up to. But anyway, I reminisce.
Some may say that Will Jessup inspired me to go into theatre. And that's why I'm here at the National Theatre selling ice cream. But no, seriously, Will is one of the most fun, amazing people to work with. If I ever do a job with Will, then I'm excited and I look forward to it, because I know it'll be a day of laughing my head off and potentially crying at some bits, with laughter, not in pain.
One of my fondest memories of Uncle Will was when he brought a creepy Kermit puppet from his house and made it ask me if I wanted to see his collection of butcher knives.
William George Jessup, I'm arresting you on suspicion of owning dodgy DVDs. These DVDs are Confessions of a Window Cleaner, Confessions of a Window Cleaner 2 and 3, and Birthday Booty. And don't try and deny it. I spoke to Mr. Stewart, who claims he doesn't know who you are and denies all knowledge of such DVDs. Can you call in me, please?
So all my favourite memories of Will have been during the shows we've been doing together. Like the times he'd try and purposely make everyone laugh on stage, or just his spontaneous lines that he chucks in. His impressions of the Beatles are fantastic, and his inability to play a drum kit properly in the air are all amazing Willisms.
And so, despite everything, despite his hard start in life, despite being raised by a foul-mouthed Australian harridan who regularly forced him to do stereotypical Australian things, despite the deprivations that woman placed upon him, the great man is 50. May he always be as he is now, slightly prone to eczema and unwilling to say licorice the same way everyone else does. And we, his friends, colleagues, and, dare I say it, acquaintances, wish him a happy and a prosperous birthday, and hope that he knows how deeply he is loved by us all.
So happy birthday, Will, old duck. And if ever you want to come round, have a drink, watch a bit of YouTube, then feel free. Remember what we always say in show business. Chesse, chesse, that's the gypsy way. Chesse!
Hi Will, happy 50th. I hope you have a lovely birthday. Welcome to the 50s Club. Keep practicing that choreography.
So, all I can say is, WGJ, have a wonderful 50th birthday. Much love, dear boy. Much love. Bye-bye.
Happy birthday, Will.
Jessup.
Not Tipper. And if I had two things to say, would be happy birthday and watch out for that bowsprit.
Have a lovely day, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye.
Have a fabulous 50th birthday, Will, and I'm really sorry I can't be there. But but I'll see you at a quiz very soon.
Also, this will probably make Will go, oh no, but you are honestly one of the best actors that I have ever worked with, Will, and a comedy genius. So I hope I get to work with you again soon. I miss you. And yeah, lots and lots of love. And pause, happily pause. Bye.
Hi Will, I hope you have a very happy birthday and that you never change.
You're very funny. Happy birthday, Will.
Kia ora, Rafana, Will.
Where there is bread, there is butter. Where there's a car, there's a road. Where there's a park, there's a hidden dog turd. And where there's a side, there's a splode. Where there's a hutch, there's a rabbit. Where there's a night, there's a day. But if you need someone to act their socks off, well, where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a Holmes, there's a Watson. Where there's an Ernie, there's Bert. When you need someone whose chest will explode, you know you're gonna ask for John Hurt. Where there's a Sainsbury's bag, there is laundry. Or a costume that's been left far away. But if you need someone to make you weep with laughter, well, where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's always good times. Where there's a will, there's half-learned songs. Where there's a will, there's eagles and owls, and easily offended mongs. Where there's a will, there are giggles, there's giggles. Where there's a dog, there's a cat. Where there's bad soup, there's the coronavirus, and Will's jokes are as infectious as that. The man is just a one in a million, so give him pause and shout your hooray. 'Cause if you want an improvised song about Auschwitz, well, where there's a will, there's a way. Yes, if you want someone to be your bestie, if you want someone who's japey and jesty, if you want someone who'll accidentally show you they're testy, where there's a will, there's a...
What a load of horse shit. Chuck another prawn on the barbie, you great galah.